like cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game. I'm going to get right into it. This question comes from a brother from Harlem, New York. And the question is, how come Tupac perpetuated the lie that Dr. Dre was gay when he know for a fact that Dr. Dre was not gay? Wow. That's one of the most interesting questions that I've gotten so far. And the only reason that I can think that Tupac would ride with that lie is the fact that he was upset when Dr. Dre left Death Row. The reason why Tupac, or one of the main reasons, should I say, Tupac signed to Death Row was because of Dr. Dre and being able to work with Dr. Dre. This had been something that was planned and they had been talking about since 1993. And as we all know, Tupac joined Death Row in 1995. And so I think that once Dre left, Tupac was hurt and he felt like he was abandoned. And I don't think Dre gave him any kind of forewarning, because Dre seen that Tupac had a strong allegiance to Suge at that particular time. So, upon Dre leaving, the rumor started. From what I understand, they were in a meeting at Death Row, and Suge had asked Michelle in regards to Dr. Dre, any kind of sexual activity involving a man or something like that. And she said she had called the house one day, and Dre's assistant, Bruce, at the time, had answered the phone. And like I said, I know Bruce, and I know Dr. Dre, and I knew that their relationship was a professional relationship, and anything other than that would be pure garbage and speculation. You know what I mean? I know that for a fact. I've been in both of these guys' presence, and both of these guys are nothing but heterosexual, all men, like I said. And so Tupac, in his wanting to prove himself, or wanting to prove his loyalty to Suge and dealing with that situation, took that information and put it to record, unfortunately. And like I said, so, that was the most craziest thing. That was the thing that kind of made me take a step back, if you will, and really re-examine, like, hold on, man, like, why would he do that? You know what I mean? Because I understood when he first got out of jail, everything was all good. He was excited about working with Dre, and you know what I mean? And like I said, as we know, Dre gave him 2 dope tracks, the anthem, California Love, and the one with George Clinton on it. And so, everything was perfectly fine. So I don't know, what made it go left like that. The only thing that I can think of was the fact that Dr. Dre had left. And you heard Tupac say in the song where he said, check your sexuality, as fruity as this Alizé, quick to jump ship. What a dumb move, cross Death Row. Now who you gonna run to? When he said that in the song, that let me know right there why he said it, from my own perspective. Like I said, when you think about it, and that was toss it up. That was toss it up. And so when he said that, it was I was like, oh, okay, But at the end of the day, the brother from Harlem asking that question, you hit the nail right on the head. Tupac knew for a fact, that Dre wasn't gay or anything like that. And like I said, while he would perpetuate that lie over and over and over again, it kind of baffled me. When you deal with the fact of the matter is that most people are not even thinking about it. And I'm going to give you something to really think about when you think about this. So now, Dr. Dre and the person who allegedly started the rumor, Miss Chalet, right, were together for a while, and they had a child together, correct? And so now, Dr. Dre and Miss Chalet, they now split up, and Suge Knight and Miss Chalet start a relationship and end up having a child, correct? Correct. So now, when this rumor is started, no one really thinks about these facts. So now, if you're saying that Dr. Dre is this person that they're trying to make him out to be, right? And he had a relationship with Miss Chalet and a child, that would mean that any activities that he did it then. He did it with Miss Chalet. Then now he's doing it with Suge Knight, correct? And they have a child, correct? See? People don't think about stuff before they do it. You got to really, really think. Now, if he didn't have no relationship with her, you could ride with that lie. But the fact that they did have a relationship like that and then would try to perpetuate the lie on Dr. Dre, it didn't even make sense to me. That's what I thought about. I'm like, well, he messing with her now. So if that's the case, and so that let me know right there that it wasn't true. And like I said, Tupac was an intelligent guy. And I'm sure, like I said, he thought about that after he said that. He had to think about that. Like, well, you see the picture with Tupac in the studio and Miss Chalet, rubbing on his chest and so on and so forth, right? So all of these things that are being said, it's like coming from this envious place, or this place of anger, disenchantment, right? When all they could have done is just, talked it out, but evidently they didn't feel like they needed to. They were mad at Dr. Dre. And so, like I said, I know personally from being around Dr. Dre that, he's all man, a workaholic, a good guy, and, he's a good dude. And so, like I said, and I'll even take it further. We know now, based on the day before yesterday, it was a report that came out. Everybody knows that Dre's been going through this thing with his wife, his ex-wife, who he was actually married to at the time, when these alleged, rumors or whatever started to fester, if you will. And so when you think about that, it was a report in which Dre's ex-wife wants to bring in 3 mistresses that Dre allegedly has children with, or a love child, or something of that nature. And here's the information. And none of these seem to be guys. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I know for a fact. And these facts right here need to be taken into consideration. And like I said, people actually believing and listening what Tupac said in his rhyme, like he knew something that none of us knew, and he didn't. I'm here to tell you that he didn't. He was listening to what was being told to him, and he was basically being hand-fed that, and he would reiterate basically what he was told. And from that perspective, that's why I think a lot of the accusations that Tupac was a follower sometime have come from, although I don't think he really was a follower. I think that he just fell in line what was going on at that particular time. Just like with the East Coast, West Coast thing. And he basically professed that it wasn't really an East Coast, West Coast thing when they were at the MTV Video Music Awards, when him and Snoop were sitting next to each other. He said that the media basically was, hyping this up and making this thing out to be more than what it actually was. So it tells me that he knew a lot of things, and he was just riding the wagon and really just pumping it out there and doing a lot of stuff, what we call now today as trolling. He was doing a lot of trolling, you know what I mean? But not really understanding what he was doing, like I said, at that particular time. So for the guy who gave him one of his hit records, you would now then turn on him because I guess Dre didn't communicate with him that he was leaving. He felt like Tupac's relationship with Suge was a little too close. And like I said, once again, and then you see once again, and I'm going to give you this. Remember, they said that Tupac jumped on Sam Snead in that same meeting, right? in that meeting that they had, and they jumped on Sam Snead because Sam Snead allegedly told them that Dr. Dre told him not to show up to court, and so on and so forth, and that he had a bunch of New York guys in his video, and like no guys from the West Coast or guys from the label, and so on and so forth. And Tupac jumped on him, right? Why? That wasn't Tupac's fight. Once again, you know what I mean? So this thing about doing things to prove your loyalty when you're supposed to be handling your business and you are the top priority as an artist, right? Why would you do that to Sam Snead? That was another incident. And so now, same thing with Dr. Dre. He would say some stuff that's not true, and he know it's not true, but he's just once again trying to prove his loyalty. You know, I'm a ride with this. You know, I'm riding with Death Row and so on and so forth. Death Row was a record label. It wasn't a religion. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, we see now what happened. It's no longer a situation anymore. And now we have a lot of music from a catalog. That's music that was a former label. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of the people, you know, who were at each other's throat at one time or thought to be at each other's throat now are now friends and getting along. So my thing is, Tupac, I don't think at that particular time was really conscious of what he was doing and the long-term effect that it might have had. Unfortunately, he was killed, once again, showing his loyalty, painfully to a fault in Vegas. He shouldn't have jumped on Orlando Anderson. He shouldn't have. It wasn't his fight, And so, like I said, from the brother from Harlem, man, thank you for the question. I appreciate that. And, but Tupac did perpetuate a lie that he knew to be a lie at that particular time. He knew Dr. Dre wasn't gay. You know what I mean? But yet he chose to roll and ride with that and move with that. And once he had said it, the first time, he couldn't back it up. Or should I say he couldn't backtrack on his statement, because then that would have made him look like a hypocrite. Right? Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.